Alright, anyways, I just got to, watching Velma on HBO Max, episodes 7 and 8, and, I just want to say, I will admit that the story in these episodes, the plot kind of does thicken a tad bit. It does somewhat catch my attention enough to kind of sort of get me to pay attention to a degree. But then it messes it up when it has Velma teetotally making men look really bad. Because episode 7 is nothing but her basically acting like the Fogfest event is being sexist, apparently, because she assumes that the date that she has to have in order to attend, because the police put it out that because the serial killer or murderer is on the loose still, that nobody is able to go there unless they have a date, that she just automatically assumes that they're being like sexist or whatever, some kind of stupid thing that makes no sense whatsoever when nothing like that was ever said, because she could technically take a girl as a date instead of a guy if she wanted to. So one thing leads to another, and next thing you know, she's dressing up as a guy and acting like as a guy she can just do whatever the heck she wants, and in the process of doing these things makes men look even worse somehow, and I don't know how, but just does. And her Mindy Kaling way, so to speak. And honestly, I don't understand what the appeal of making people look like trash cans is so humorous, and why that's such a clever, witty thing. Like, I don't see the appeal in that. Like, if she wants people to like Velma, then why on earth's gate is she trying so hard to get people to hate her instead? That's a funny way to spell the word love, in my opinion. And I don't know if her intention of basically, doing this is to poke fun at trans men as well, because I feel like, I'm not saying that this was her intention, but knowing how trash of a person she is, I would not be surprised that this is her way of, quote-unquote, including the trans men, since she's more into glorifying, like, women above men. And when I say glorifying women, I mean glorifying the women with narcissistic traits, like I mentioned in the first video. Because in my first video, I went into, deep depth about a lot of key points. But, right now, I just wanted to point out what I thought about the 2 episodes I just watched. Like, my cat literally did not want to stay in the room the minute I turned the show on. Like, the minute I was like, okay, Maisie, we're gonna go watch the next two trash fire episodes of this show, she instantly wanted out of the bedroom. Not even joking. Classic professional comedian. She already knew it was gonna be a trash fire, so she took herself out of the room. That's the smartest thing. Should have done that myself, to be honest. But I can't, because I was doing this so that you guys would not have to worry about doing this to yourselves. And I can assure you, still not worth looking at. Because it ain't for nobody but that Mindy Kaling herself. I'm telling you, not that great. Not that great. If that's what she thinks it takes to be a man, then she clearly does not know anything at all. Because like I said, there's more to being that than just one thing. And it's like, what in the heck? Like, I can't tolerate the levels of idiocy. I can only go so far with that before I myself will explode mentally. And then freaking episode 8. It's like, what even? There's so many things I want to discuss about that. Because episode 8, it was going by way too fast, honestly. Like, my brain is mentally slower than most people, so it is a lot harder for me to keep up with stuff that's like that fast. And it was back to back to back and nothing but flashback after flashback after flashback, you know? And, like, it's hard to keep up with something that's done like that. And the only thing that, like, I guess the only thing that I think was kind of, you know, kind of cool was that small little slither of an Easter egg where when, you know, all the characters are running through these doors, that's some type of, like, ride thing or whatever. They called it, like, a ride or something. It was, like, some kind of, like, place that you could walk into that had, like, multicolored doors. And for, like, a split second, if you were quiet enough, you could hear, like, a classic Chase Scooby-Doo, like, soundtrack playing in the background for, like, a bit of time. That I thought was kind of cool. But, like, you did the whole continue the toxic relationship thing where part of the whole episode was also bickering between, like, Velma and Daphne, and then freaking Norval and freaking Gigi back and forth about who did what and blah 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 and all this dumb stuff. And it was, like, super annoying because it's like, we didn't come in here for, like, some high school shenanigans that could be easily sorted out behind closed doors. We came here for a murder mystery type thing, and you're giving us something that we did not ask for. Okay, if we wanted that, we would watch Twilight. We did not want that. Okay? And I don't even think Twilight's all that great anymore. I used to think it was, but I realized it was a waste of time after a while. Okay? So to be compared to something that I used to think was cool that I no longer think is cool is pretty dang pathetic, because at least that had something going for it at the time. This does not. Because it's still a double negative 0. Just double negatives all the way through. I'm not changing that score. Because I forgot to point out that I never actually gave a score for what I thought that this show should have. It's a double negative. I mean, I would say I would send it to the, you know, to the nether, but I don't think they want it either. Like, I don't think... Honestly, the one joke I was gonna say, because I was thinking of jokes that I could put into this, is that this is the real reason why the aliens did not want to come to this planet. Because one look at this show and they realized, nope, it's not worth it, left and decided to create a different dimension far the heck away from our dimension. Because it was that bad. That's why. That is why. Because one look at this and it's like, it's over. But, another thing, you know, episode 8 did another thing that was kind of, you know, just really gross. They somehow found a new way to make Fred 10 times more creepy, but disgusting at the same time. Like, because remember, the whole point of this was for Velma to find her mom was one point, but the other half was like, oh, we have to figure out who killed these girls or whatever. But for some reason, 6 episodes, you know, pass, and it's not until between the 7th and 8th episode, not until like the 8th episode where they finally find the brains of like the girls that got killed like several episodes back ago. And it's like, y'all treat it like it's not that important, and all of a sudden now it is. Like, you can't just decide when to throw in this, like, this threat out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden be like, oh, here they are again, they're relevant, it's time to put them back in here, even though we've been pretending like this isn't a threat this whole time. Like, that's not really a mystery. You're totally, like, taking away from the build-up. You're subtracting it before it even has a chance to get better. And that's why it's not that good, because... And then most of it's just filler that has nothing to do with the actual main plot at all. Plus, the fact that you're having to cram so much stuff in before the finale, it's just making it feel way rushed and less, you know, good than it needs to be. Like, I feel like you're just giving Velma what she wants at this point by letting her have her mom so dang suddenly. Like, I feel like she didn't do enough to really deserve that reunion, in my personal opinion. And I'm not saying that she shouldn't be able to be with her. I'm just saying that the way that this was done is just stupid. Like, y'all didn't, like, set it up right. Like, I feel like you're rushing you're trying way too hard to get people to like the show in the last stretch of it, because you already know that it failed so bad that even if you manage to get a couple people to like these last few episodes leading up to the finale, that it's probably still not going to be enough to make up for all the mistakes you made in the first 6 episodes. Which is terrible. Like, dude, if you were gonna be this good at it now, why weren't you in the beginning? So this isn't going to change the fact that you still have to torture yourself to even remotely get to an ounce of goodness at all, if any, in this entire, thing. So yeah, I kind of agree with everyone else. There would be no point to have a season 2 if the whole point was to figure out who was killing these popular, hot girls, so to speak. And there's a lot of loose ends that haven't been answered either. Like, whatever happened to the mother of Daphne, the OG mother, the birth mother? Are we ever gonna find out what happened to her? The forced relationship thing? I'm tired of seeing, them always bickering about who's gonna be what. Are we friends or are we dating stuff? That's annoying. It's getting old real quick. I will admit that I did think it was kind of funny when Fred was looking in the mirrors and stuff, and he kind of got to this one where, he was, saying that funny stuff that he said. But aside from that, that was the only thing that made me laugh. I will say that the mirror before that one, though, it actually had showed what the OG Fred looked like. I thought that Easter egg was pretty neat. Another thing that I don't like, though, was there's 2 major things in episode 8 that I actually just don't like specifically, and it's just the whole, why would you make Fred fall in love with the brains of 3 girls that died and then want to speak to them in this sexual type way? He wants to basically, F them for some reason. That's not appropriate. That's disgusting. Because, there are some sickos out there that actually do get, real into doing inappropriate stuff to dead bodies. And I don't know, since the brains are in these jars that allow them to speak to people still, because it's connected to wiring that allows them to still speak somehow, if that counts as them still being dead or not. But it's just not appropriate to sexualize organs of dead people and wanting to F them in this nasty ass way. It's bro, that was uncomfortable to look at. No amount of therapy could fix that nonsense. Honestly, because that was hard to go, that was hard to watch. My three boys here, PP, QP, and Freezerburn P, my cat even, myself, we all wanted to exit this building as fast as possible and teleport to I don't know, Hogwarts, freaking Narnia, freaking goddamn, freaking Minecrafts, just anywhere but that, because that was just disturbing. Okay, I don't know. All I know is Mindy is either on some really hard drugs that I don't want to have anything to have a part of, or she's into some really strange ass nonsense that I don't need to know anything about. And she's using this show as an excuse to put her nasty little fetishes up on the screen. And I don't think anybody wants to see that anymore. This is the one fan fiction that no one asked for. It's still a trash show. Definitely not worth it. And the worst part, not even the fact that Scooby's not in it, like I mentioned in the first video. It's the fact that they apparently have the mystery machine in it, but because Velma's mom apparently has amnesia, all she says is mystery. But the problem is, and get this, is the fact that the mystery machine looks like a white van that a person would have to kidnap children. So it's a freaking pedo van. It's not even the actual mystery machine. There's no actual groovy paint style job on it either. It's just a plain ass white van that you would typically think that a kidnapper would drive. And of course, and her mom drives it too. I'm like, bro, you can't label that as the mystery machine. That's the mystery not machine. Because honestly, the only mystery is where the fuck did it come from? Because it definitely isn't a part of the Scooby-Doo gang's universe. I don't know how that got all the way down in the depths of a cave that's close to lava and all that stuff. I don't know how the heck that works, but what in the heaven? And honestly, I really do want Norval to just break ties with this Gigi character, because she really is starting to become way worse. Like, she's even more worse in these episodes than she was prior, because personally, I wanted to point out in my last video that I genuinely think that during that episode where they wanted Velma to basically make them not hot so that they don't get killed by the killer, that, like, she basically decided to change herself on purpose to spite Velma, to make her mad deliberately, because she already knew that it would make her mad. Which is another thing, because in the newer episodes, apparently Daphne admits that she likes to make Velma mad on purpose, which is really stupid. Like, I'm not sure I've ever known anybody that does that, but if anyone ever came up to me and told me that they actually like doing that on purpose, I'd probably backslap the heck out of them. I'd probably also stop talking to them entirely, because that's not a good friendship trait to have. Like, what if the person has high blood pressure? Are you fucking stupid? Like, you don't just make people mad on purpose because you think it's like some quirky thing. Some people have reasons for why they shouldn't do that. Like, I don't know anymore. Like everyone else said, they waited way too late to try to make this a good show. Because if you wanted this to be a good show, one of two things needed to happen. You should have done that since episode 1. Or 2, you should have never made this show to begin with, because y'all don't know how to do nothing. So, no, those are the only two things I can say. Like I said, the art style, the character designs, all that stuff is fine. It's not even about the race swapping stuff. It's just the personalities. The way this story is written is so all over the place that it doesn't even know what it wants to be half the time. It's really hard to keep up with a lot of the time, too. And some episodes do feel like they're hours long of torture. And most of it's just making fun of everybody. So, like, I don't know. But no, there was absolutely no reason to have that nasty moment where he was, like, sexualizing brains, though. Because I have a feeling that they're just trying to make it seem like they're trying to bait us into thinking that he's gonna be the one that killed people, even though we've already established that he couldn't possibly be, because he's unable to take care of himself, according to what Mindy thinks. So, like, I just can already see. I can kind of see, I guess. But, while I'm on the topic, there was, the other types of stuff I wanted to talk about how, let's see. Oh yeah, some of the old key points that I ran out of time to talk about, by the way. The whole making fun of having an affair on your significant other, having a minor pole dance to get their dad's attention while making fun of the women with stripper and prostitute jobs, because that's not very nice. Thinking it's funny when a child goes missing and the parent flips out because they have no idea where they're at. Because like I said, the fact that this show not only makes a joke about that, but then also has the audacity to have a freaking pedo van as the mystery machine. Wow. Says a lot. I'm really starting to think you guys really think that sexualizing minors and doing all this inappropriate stuff with that type of van choice that you had in this in that freaking episode 8 really does say a lot about how y'all are behind closed doors. I'm really, really worried now. In all honesty, I don't think freaking Velma's mom should have been like, oh crap, that child that I actually did not want to be around showed up. I better get in the van and drive away before it's too late. And normally I wouldn't say that type of thing, but my God, if you've seen how trashy Velma's personality is, I can assure you, you'd probably be driving away too. The fact that they handed her the here's your mom free pass so suddenly like that, I swear. I think she should have put in a lot more work than that, because her whining since episode 1 to now just to figure out where she was, and then having it handed to her so freaking suddenly like that without her putting any effort in really ruins the whole concept. Because I will admit, to a small degree, it was an interesting concept, but she kept whining about it so frequently that it got annoying and got old real quick, and the only thing that I thought was interesting was more the murdered girls parts instead, but then they dropped that too. So it's like, no dude, this is kind of boring. Nothing they do for this finale is going to be interesting either. Like, the characters are still hard to kind of, to like, except for like the ones I mentioned that I had sympathy for. It's just now I'm really like creeped out about that stuff about the brains and the sexualizing of the brains and stuff, and wanting to do inappropriate stuff to them just kind of bothered me, because the undertone, like the implications during that specific segment really bothered me. I felt like I needed to have like an actual adult in the room, because I felt like I was walking into something I was not supposed to see. Only for me to then realize that I was said adult. So no, that's how bad that was. I know the body shaming stuff, because I kept having jokes about body shaming, Velma early on about her weight and her looking ugly was not okay, because that's one thing I will at least say that was wrong. Never judge someone based on their appearance, their weight, race, or anything. Like, don't discriminate on any of those factors. But that also includes men, where you don't do that to them either, and you don't ridicule them for their, size on things, because that's not your business to be doing. But yeah, basically, that's just my general thought on all this. I still strongly say do not watch it, okay? It's definitely not worth it. You're not missing much. You're really not. It's the same trashy shenanigans as before, just, Electric Boogaloo 2, destruction of herself, Mindy herself, and just fireworks going everywhere, I guess. It's not really all that interesting, honestly. I was dreading this for a reason. That's why I didn't, look at it the day that it came out. Because instead I opted to see something on Netflix, which was the way better choice. And I'll tell you what it is, because over on Netflix they had this anime movie called Bubble that was aesthetically pleasing and very visually pretty. Had good music, good characters, that was well written, and fun to watch. It was like an hour something long anime movie, in English of course, or whatever you prefer, because I'm pretty sure there were other options. That was way better than this Velma shenanigans. So yeah, if you want, I highly recommend you just go on to Netflix to watch better stuff, I guess. I feel bad for HBO Max in a way, but people were trying to kind of claim that, or state that they were the ones that kind of did this to themselves because they allowed this to be on their platform. So I don't know. if, like, they were all in agreement or behind this trash or not. But for the few of them that did not realize this was going to be that bad, I still do have sympathy for you guys. Because, honestly, if I were a freaking streaming service and I got pitched something this garbage, I would have just told them, take your ass out of here and don't come back again. Because I would not accept that. I would have just turned it down right then and there. Because that's just terrible. Because remember, in the early half of all this, they're sexualizing minors, sexualizing pregnant women. They're sitting here making everybody look bad. Oh, and also, Mindy, you cannot sit here and have a police officer say that, oh, the reason why we haven't caught the serial killer yet is because they're a ghost and not because we're incompetent. Last time I checked, they're still incompetent due to the fact that you wrote them out that way, because the killer is still on the loose and they're not a ghost. So you're still making them look pathetic because they're not doing their job. So no, you cannot turn around and make that joke and think it's funny. Clearly that tells me that you've seen our critiques about what we told you to do things better and chose to not do the thing we just said to do. So no, I see where we're going. I see where this is going now. That doesn't make the show better because you acknowledge the fact that people are giving you helpful criticism, but yet you still choose not to correct the thing you effed up on. I'm sorry, that's not how that works. And then you wonder why there's so many people that dislike this. But yeah. That's enough of this nonsense, I guess, because right now I just can't with this, okay? I might as well just spend time with my cat, probably go on my computer now. I don't know. Do something to cleanse my mind of all this trashiness. Because like I said, most of all the main points I wanted to talk about were in the first video. But I still think it's just messed up that again, why would you have Velma go on the little stripper pole to get her dad's attention, for that matter, or why have him make a joke about having an affair and all this other stuff and all the episodes before these new ones? What the heck? And yet they still make fun of panic attacks too. They had Velma pretend to have one just to manipulate Daphne to actually hang out with her because she was so possessive over Daphne and not wanting her to be with anyone else if she in case she's in love with someone else other than her. Which is, again, why should everyone be in love with you? Okay? Because everyone says you're just a self-insert. Why on earth would anyone want to even be friends or in love with you at all with how trashy you've been since episode 1 to now? Or the advertising trailer where you're sitting here criticizing everybody that was worried about this show the minute they weren't okay with how you went about doing this from the beginning. Because the whole thing's a trash mess. Okay? Good God. But yeah, I still don't really like it. It's still a double negative 0.1000 to me. A negative 0. That's it. It's not getting anything any higher than that. It's staying in the negatives. At least from my perspective. Because, I didn't laugh at really any of those things except for, when Velma got ran over by a police car that one time, and I guess that one tiny little joke with Fred in the mirror scene. But that's, about it and stuff. And it's pretty sad. Because my cat and family members and, they can make me laugh a lot more often than this. Not to mention, I didn't really like the fact that early on in the series, when Norval was admitting that he actually had feelings for freaking Velma when she was having that panic attack that one time, that she literally was laughing about his emotions. So, they were actually clowning on a man's emotions like it's funny or something, and I didn't really think that was, very nice. Because it's like, dude, nice men who are genuinely nice, that aren't doing the r/nice guys who pretend to be nice and then act aggressive after when they don't get their way. Like, actual nice people that are actually nice, who aren't trying to do that for some ulterior motive. Like, I feel like they get made fun of a lot in this, because they get treated like they're pathetic character, stereotypes, and that's not okay. And I only mainly say this because I myself feel like that if I were to fall under a category, that I would be a guy that's really nice too, that does things to help people as well. So I felt like that was kind of just, rude toward people like myself, because I don't do things for ulterior motives, and I don't look at people inappropriately either, if that makes sense. But I don't like straight up simp after people either, if that makes sense as well, because that's just harmful, thought processes to be having on people that aren't anything like that. And so I'm still kind of against that. I don't know. It was just terrible. So I hope you guys manage to spare yourselves from that nonsense. And yes, I will try to survive whatever attempt at a finale they're gonna make is like, and then basically tell you what I think about that. But I'm not expecting it to be any better at all. In fact, I'm not even gonna have expectations that high, because if I have them too high, they're probably gonna end up going so far below that it's gonna be hard to hold on to, because there's not much to hold on to anyway. So I'm just saying, probably not worth the time, but I wanted to spare you guys, because for those that subscribe to my channel, I'm telling you right now, this show ain't worth it. It ain't it. Not it at all. Half the stuff is just not relevant. The main thing that the show is built on is not even focused on the majority of the time. It's just not written well at all. Which is a shame, because the art style, the colors, and the designs are pretty decent. They're not that bad. It's just the writing, the personalities, just everything else that isn't the stuff that, I had already named, are all bad. So, yeah. I don't know, guys. Honestly, I'm surprised that my cat and my 3 peepee plush guys over here at the edge of the bed and I managed to somehow survive another day of this nonsense. But yeah, that's what I think. It basically gets triple -0. That's my score for this. And until next time.